Perfect, man.
So, like, look, I think one of the big issues with goals is that, people don't know how to set up. They don't actually understand bad information about goals. One of the most prolific, an idiot for saying this, the SMART goals, smart, measurable, like attainable goals. That's not a good goal. And so I think there's this big misconception, and I don't want to go super deep on this because I could talk about it for a day, but there is a difference between a goal and a target. And too many people set targets thinking you say you made 80 grand last year and you're like, man, my goal this year is to make $90,000. On the surface, you're like, hey, look, you want to make an extra 10 grand this year, or you want to get into the gym more regularly this year. Like, I want to work out 3 times a week, right? Like, those are targets. Those are targets to be set. Goals are something that cannot be achieved in the short term. Targets are something that you plan to achieve in the short term. The problem with labeling a target a goal is that you end up thinking too small. Goals should be big and exciting. Goals should be the thing, like targets, I'm sorry, but like if you made 80 grand last year and your goal is to make 90 grand this year, that's only $10,000. It's not going to change your life. You may think it does. You may think it's going to provide you with this opportunity to do X, Y, and Z or whatever, buy some NFTs or Bitcoin or whatever. But I'm telling you, it's not going to change your life. And if it's not going to change your life, then what that means, it's going to be really easy for you to give up on. And so when you start thinking about goals, you have to think further beyond just what you're doing right now. The way that I'll just say the right way to set goals, and this is the way that I do it, and I don't know if that's why I'm saying it's the right thing or not, or just because it's worked for me so far, is when I look at goals, I look into the future. The stuff that I'm writing down, when I'm writing down my goals, and Grant says this, like most of the goals that we set, we never hit. Now, I don't go that far. That's like this guy, every time, if he's getting close to a goal, he's like, oh, got to stretch it out. Like I think he intentionally wants to not hit goals. Because he wants to know going that I've got goals that are so big that I don't know if I'll ever hit them. For me, I like to go out 10 years, 10, 15 years and just think like 10, 15 years from now.
Blessed family, give thanks, for your presence. Give thanks for each and everyone in the house. Of course, I'm here preparing for our live presentation in about 26 minutes or so on Radio Anu. Of course, we are officially launching this year's Priest Isaac's essay competition. I want to speak a bit about Haile Selassie and his words as it relates to the economy. I think it's something we kind of look over a lot. Just blessing everyone in the house, give thanks for all ones coming in. Give thanks for Jimmy Lights in the house, blessed love. Marcus Garvey in all vibration. Give thanks for Pyramid of Giza, the Honorable Empress Naya. Blessed love Rothschild, give thanks. The R man, definitely defending the capital R. Blessed love my Lord, give thanks for your presence. Heart of love. Pyramid of Giza and all ones in the house. I'm just listening to Brother Jared from the Young Hustlers here, giving a bit of information. I want us to take in a bit more before I read the speeches of His Majesty. Blessed love to all. I hope you're hearing this properly.
From now, where do I want to be? Like, what do I want my life to look like? Because the clarity of where you want to be 10 years or 15 years from now is going to be bigger than where you're at today. It's going to be more exciting than where you're at today. And it's going to be something that you will actually make decisions today that are uncomfortable or painful to do. The $10,000 a year, like what if I told you that to make an extra $10,000 a year, you had to come in an hour and a half early every day to work. Forget about what you do or how you get paid, but let's just say you had to work an extra hour and a half a day. At some point, you're going to be like I'm coming in early. I'm tired. Like it ain't worth it for 10 grand, and you're going to bail on your target of an additional $10,000 in income. Now, if you said I want to go from 80 grand to 800 grand a year, and in 10 years from now I want to be making 800 grand a year, and you worked your way back, and you got down to the point where you were like, hell, all I got to do is work an extra hour and a half a day, and I can make $800,000. Now that morning you wake up and you're like, man, I really don't feel like doing this today. You're not doing it for 10 grand anymore. You're doing it for 800,000. You see what I'm saying? So you have to get focused on the right things. And I think you need to bucket this in a completely different way than most people do it. Targets. What do you want to get done this year? Me, I'm going to make $1 million more than I made last year. I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to have 2 date nights a week with my wife. I want to totally be present, intentional, adventurous, and fun with my kids. Like, these are things that I'm writing. Like, I can accomplish that this year. The goals should be the things that, like, hey, I want to make $1 million a month in passive income. Like, the goals should be the big stretch things. I can't accomplish that this year. There's no way for me to do it. But it's exciting enough for me to make decisions today that make me uncomfortable, that require me to sacrifice, because I know that the payoff's big enough. So, when you're sitting down, look at the goals that you wrote down. Hopefully you did. Targets. This is what are you going to do in the next 12 months? Draw a line down the page and then write your goals. These are things you want to accomplish in the next 10 to 15 years. Make sense? Cool. Okay, number 2. Skills. Man, if you want to get closer to your goals faster, you got to develop skills.
Let's listen to this.
And this doesn't always mean you have to develop a new skill. If I was a professional golfer, or I wanted to be one, I was an aspiring golfer, I don't need to learn a new skill in order to do that. I need to improve the skills that I have. So how do you do that? Practice and work. Our sales team role plays every morning for 30 minutes before they get on the phone. Are they learning something new? Nope. But they're refining a skill. Johnny and Nathan. These guys are on cameras. These guys are shooting. They're editing. Like, if they want to increase their income, if they want to increase their value, they don't go learn, woodworking. They don't learn a new skill. They learn how to improve the skills that they have. They're consuming more information so they can develop further the skills that they have. And a lot of times when people look at developing skill sets, they go out and they automatically will go try to do something new. And I'm not saying there's never a time to do that, because there certainly is. But you need to understand and recognize when you need a new skill and when you need to improve an existing skill. Because one of the problems that you can run into is if you try to develop too many skills and you don't get great at a handful of them, then you're gonna be average at a lot.
We call it here in the Caribbean, in them islands around here, a jack of all trade and a master of none.
And there's no money in average. Give me a video.
Yes, give thanks for Achi Parana in the house, such balance, material and spiritual. These are some of the words the emperor actually speak about.
Guy that's a 10 out of 10 on shooting and a 2 out of 10 on editing, and I'll hire him every day of the week.
Let's get that point clear again. A very important point that he made. My interjection may have distorted the point.
And you don't get great at a handful of them, then you're gonna be average at a lot.
So.
And there's no money in average. Give me a video guy that's a 10 out of 10 on shooting and a 2 out of 10 on editing, and I'll hire him every day of the week. Give me a guy that's a 4 out of 10 shooting and a 4 out of 10 editing, I want nothing to do with him. Does that make sense? Because he's developed one skill that's amazing and remarkable. Now, there will be times where you have to develop new skills. Like if you're an employee somewhere and you become an entrepreneur, you got to develop new skills. You have to learn things that you didn't have to do before. Like if I went out and started my own business right now, I'd have to learn, how do I get traffic? What are my offers going to be? How am I going to price them? How am I going to collect the money? I need to hire people. How do I go out and hire people? What am I required legally to do when I hire people? And then how do I pay people? And then how do I pay taxes? Like, there's all these new things that you have to learn in order to be successful in this new thing that you're doing. So you will need more skills if you want to be more successful. Okay? But don't jump to a new skill before you look at the existing skill set that you have and ask, what can I do to improve what I'm currently doing right now?
All right, family, give thanks. Honorable Princess, you could just put that aside for me. You know, family, we give thanks for the presence of each and every one. Karate. All right, Brother Lights. And what I'm going to do here, you see, the reason why I brought this into the conversation, and this is obviously a special edition of Mind Your Business. This is the program we do when we speak about the economy and our growth. And to me personally, the reason why this is important and this sort of knowledge and information is important and to express and to teach as well is because we all are supposed to grow, financially, even in wealth. It's not no race with nobody. We're not trying to capitalize. We're not capitalists. You understand? But just as, for example, the Kwanzaa period that went through there's a day that deals with cooperative economics. And it's an important African principle. So now, when you see, this is one of the reasons why we can't unite. We like to talk about, we need to unite and this and unite. I mean, you can't unite when your mind always on how to pay the bills and how to pay the rent and car note and children and food and this and that, because you can hardly unite with yourself to be uniting with ones. And then now when we unite, when we pool our resources together, we like to talk about pooling our resources together. Well, we need to have resources. Yeah, I know we all have talent. I agree, we all have talent. It doesn't have to necessarily be finance. But remember the scripture, when he gave them talents, he was expecting them to bring back more talent. When he gave them the talent, the bag of talents and talents in certain cases, there are those who went and did trade and barter and trade and business and came back with financial gain. Talent, because remember, talent is money, but talent is your gift. So you use your gift, your ability, your skills, and revenue and pay your bills, as you call it, and roof over your head and all of that stuff, And then we got to, of course, come beyond that level. So then we can come to the table and start to pool our resources together. Remember, we are all gods. We say this. We are all gods. What is a god? Is it just something in the Bible that we can refer to? God is the creator. God is the sustainer. God is the life giver. God come as a simple man and you kill him and he come back to life. This God seems to be a real supreme being. And even if we're just children of God, you may not be the almighty God, but trust me, if you were 1 billionth, believe me, if you were 1 billionth, not 1%, if you were 1 billionth of the God that created all things that you see, can't see them, different dimensions, different worlds, different parallel existence, things you can't even think about. If you were 1 billionth of that, people would have you like a Clark Kent, like a Superman and beyond, by being 1 billionth. And I honestly believe we were supposed to be a little more than 1 billionth because we are children of this God. Anyway, I want to read a few words here, taken from some selective speeches, not the book, The Selective Speeches specifically, but some selective excerpts from Emperor Haile Selassie I. And I think that sometimes, we speak of the king and we pay not attention to the words of the emperor, only maybe the religious words, like glory in the Bible and some people tell you he said Jesus Christ is this and that and St. Paul. But when it comes to food, clothing, and shelter. Let us check the words of the emperor. The emperor has the answer to all the situations specifically that we find ourselves in, the remedy thereof. All right. Now, I just want to read this one first. This is should I read the piece to the university? Okay, let me read this piece here. Speaking to the university and no, let me highlight the piece on future first. This one was in 1957. And it says here, we would remind you that our accomplishments in the past and our hopes for the future have but a single end: the sharing by our nation in the wisdom and knowledge of the outside world. Only in this fashion can Ethiopia develop fully the manifold wealth which our country possesses. Yeah, develop the wealth is done there within, It's to develop it. And only by exploiting her wealth, her talent, and what's already inside of her, can Ethiopia ensure that coming generations will be self-supporting and free from suffering and oppressive debt. And as we would hope, fully able to extend the hand of assistance to her neighbor. So you see there, so not only taking care of yourself, this is what the emperor talking about. You need the economic growth, not just to take care of yourself, but to make sure, all extra debt and all things you may owe someone is put aside. And then now you are now in a position to assist and help your neighbors. The labor of man is in vain without divine aid. We hope and pray that God will assist and prosper every future undertaking of ours for the development of our country and the welfare of our peoples. Looking into the future, our most important duty is to maintain the physical and spiritual unity of the empire which we have inherited from our ancestors, as a bright one was saying earlier, the balance of the physical and the spiritual. This is something that the emperor speaks about. And of course, the physical is the material things around you. Nobody's worshiping the money and paper. This is why we're not talking about money and paper, and coins and pennies. We're talking about the economy, the economy. We're dealing with nature and how you adapt to it, and wealth. The day that the dollar died, Peter Tosh sings about that. You will live to see that, eh? Some of us will see that. So it is good to use the dollar that you're playing with now and secure your wealth. Not stuff the dollar in the pillowcase and sleep on it. Real people that generate real wealth, their so-called dollar just continues to go around and they invest it continually. No millions just sitting down there, no cobweb and spider. No, it's moving. You see the money you give these people in the so-called banks? You think your money there just sitting down waiting on you? No. That's why when you go back for it, it's hard to get it right away, especially if it's a good amount of cheese. Mr. Samuel, that $10,000, well, that's all the money you have in the bank. You're closing the account? Yes, don't worry, I'll come back. Okay, we can only give you 5. Why 5? I need all now. Well, you see, we have a little deficit here. We can only give you 5. Check us next Friday for the 5, and we will give you the other 5 in increments over a 3-month period. Now, when you brought the $10,000 in, it wasn't a problem. Welcome to our bank, and they signed it and they just put it in the vault. But what it is, they take the money and they invest it. I mean, it's not a dumb move. They just take the money, you give it to them, they invest it. And they know they're going to invest it properly. So they build a next casino, they buy some more jet planes, they buy some more ships, they build a next hotel. all of us that put our money there, we could come together and do the same thing. But no, I pledge allegiance to this and that and former colonializers and the stripes and the bars. So our mind is fuzzy-wuzzy. That is why we do the essay competition. That's just our little part as such, if you want to call it that, to add to clearing up the psyche of the mind. So the emperor says here, listen to this. Our concern is with the many and not the few. Oh, give thanks. The benefits of education must be enjoyed by every Ethiopian. Health facilities must be made available to all who require them. The ownership of a plot of land must be brought within the capacity of everyone who so desires. All of this is wealth, not money, wealth. The benefits of an expanding economy, say the Most High, must be enjoyed by all. Selassie, Jah Rastafari. What are the things you possess? He asks. What was your objective in acquiring them? Learn how to spend wisely. This is Haile Selassie speaking, Well, you can't prove that he is God. Somebody saying that. That's just to show you, where did that come from? Learn how to spend wisely, and the increase of your wealth will eventually be your guide. I repeat, learn how to spend wisely, and the increase of your wealth, it will eventually be your guide. Use your savings where it will pay you the most. That's what they do in the banks. They use your savings where it pays them the most. We could do the same. Listen, when Martin Luther King said, the night before Martin Luther King was killed, he didn't say, I had a dream. It seems as if he put that speech aside a couple of months prior to this. He definitely wasn't talking about little white boys and little black girls or however it goes, holding hands. Martin Luther King told his audience that they should take their money out of these banks and put it into black credit unions, pardon me. Martin Luther King, Martin Luther King, maybe at that time the most influential black voice and one of the most influential voices in America and probably in the world at that time, telling people to take money out of bank and put them in your own, community credit union. What's wrong with you? You want to sink America overnight? The next morning, the man, he was dead. You see, when we talk about economics, you can't leave out these things here. These things very important, just the understanding of the history. Hey, if you're really dealing with economics, you have to understand war and the reason for war and who's funding war. But you see us, we don't like talk about money. We need into that. We want to debate about what color Jesus be. That's our fancy. We into a lot of that. Physical and spiritual, and that's not even spiritual. Them is just outdated conversation. Use your savings where it will pay you the most. That's what they do. Listen to this, The hoarding of money does not yield dividends. And when I say it's outdated conversations, I know a lot of people still lost in the fantasy and need the help. Don't worry, we have it covered. But amongst us that kind of graduate out of a certain space, this is where we should be. We should be talking about this every night. What else you need to know? If Moses really You know what I mean? Open the Red Sea. I mean, come on. How long we going to spend on that? When we moving on, what happened to freedom, redemption, international repatriation? I think we're bright enough already. I mean, of course, the knowledge will continue, you know, but I mean, we waste a lot of time with a lot of extra chatter when we could be moving on. That's my opinion, really. You know, even if it's just to talk about it, nothing wrong with talk. As Brother Vaughn Benjamin say, you know, action is better, but the speech is fine. So the hoarding of money, that means just kind of keeping what you do when you put it in the bank, what you think is going on, that's the hoarding of money. You're just kind of stuffing it away and 2% a year and all of that. You mean to tell me you can't do something better with that to get more than 2% a year from it? The hoarding of money does not yield dividends. If you wish your savings to pay you higher dividends, join with those of your fellow citizens. Who talking here? Haile, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari, like we forget about this part of the king. We must join with those of our fellow citizens, Rastafari. In other words, we need to come together. Like-minded ones. Yeah, definitely everybody can. This thing, too much instability or instability of the mind seems to be around. But I, man, we try it, and some of us, we have groups and all kind of things, and we in this group and that group, and this Congress and that group and that club, and we so disoriented from the same group. It's like a dysfunctional marriage where left hand really don't even know what right hand doing. The king says it is through hard work, know-how, and patience that you will be able to increase your capital. Well, I give thanks, you know, for these words here, you know. Money making jig. Oh, interesting. Somebody in the chat named money making jig. Well, family, the excerpts that you got there a moment ago, there's a specific book. They're asking what you're saying. There's a specific book by the name of The Mission. The Mission. It is about Emperor Haile Selassie I, and these excerpts are found in the back of that book itself, and they specifically go into the whole aspect of the economics. So one excerpt, the one with benefit, was from the Throw speech, and that was in November 66. When we spoke of future plans, that was in 1957 as well. And the university, the graduation of Haile Selassie University, July 1972. So you could just do your own research and you will come upon this very information. So give thanks, family. As I said, tonight we are having the official launch of this year's essay competition, African History Month essay competition. And we are going straight over to Radio Anu to do that right now. After this evening, we may edit it because there's some things I have in mind to say that I know it really cannot really pass on the YouTube. So this evening we'll be giving a speech. Don't forget the youth. And as I said, we are officially launching our African History Month essay competition. This is the ninth year that we have been doing this. And it is a joy. And the actual competition has not begun. It will begin in February. But this now is the launch where we are allocating and seeking for those who want to assist us in this direct mission and venture as it relates to the upliftment of our young ones. So you don't know, we have all the links in the description of this video, plus the link is in the chat. Let me personally myself put the link in the chat. Here it is. So specifically, you can join us. You can just go below and you can join us and come straight to the presentation this evening. So give thanks for everyone in the house. Give thanks, Brother Jimmy Lights, for your presence. Give thanks for Future Shock. What are you really talking about? Vlog. Who is that vlog? Who is that? Someone else in the chat name, so? I don't know. Well, Future Shock, like you shock yourself there. Maybe you came in too late. But this is a conversation that would do you good. Give thanks for Maya. Give thanks for Annibal Rastril, Deborah Walters, Blessed Love. Give thanks for each and everyone in the house. Give thanks for Sister Michelle and Negus Delight. All right. Yes, family, we're going straight over to Radio Anu. As I said, I put the link in the description. And of course, give thanks for your presence. Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. Blessed.